Welcome to the Scoop World Order. The Bucks are in LA. It is go time. It is a business trip. Everything I like to hear is happening right now. So they met with the media for a little bit. They got a practice in, and it is time to start cranking up the mechanism because it is getting close. This is not the conventional bowl trip. That is a long, arduous kind of process. This is a quick trip, and this is a business trip, and I like it. I love it. They practice at the same time the game kicks off. They're going to be ready and primed to go. And now it's just relax, get off your feet, hydrate, and go through your film, study, walkthroughs, get with your position groups. Like it's all business. And again, I love it more than anything in the world. I think it's going to be a great trip and a great result for Ohio State. With that being said, big thank you to our sponsors, Twin Peaks and Buffalo Wild Wings. We picked up a bunch of new sponsors as we close this year out. Again, if you guys have any interest in a sponsorship, buckeyescoop@gmail.com. Some huge new sponsors, so we're really excited about that to start the new year. But huge to Twin Peaks and Buffalo Wild Wings, two exceptional sports bars, two great partners of Buckeye Scoop. Appreciate you guys so much for all that you guys do. Both ownership groups are amazing. My two favorite restaurants on earth at this point, so I appreciate both of them. If you guys enjoy our content, please leave us a like, click subscribe, also click that little alert bell. Again, I appreciate you guys so much for tuning in each and every night. Again, just love you guys to death. I hope you guys had an amazing year. This was the best year of my life, the best year of Nevada's life, because we spent it with you guys and we grew something to extraordinary heights thanks to you guys. And again, we appreciate all you guys that tune in every night. Leave us great feedback. We're always working to improve the show and make it better. So we're going to do more film going forward because you guys were loud and clear yesterday. So we appreciate that. If you guys really enjoy our content and you guys want to help us out in the biggest way possible, in the best way possible, subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcasts along with Spotify, completely free, takes 30 seconds to do. I say it every day, but that is the best way you can help us out because we're trying to grow that platform. It's lagging behind everything else, so we're trying to get it to be a little bit bigger so that we can give you guys better and better content. So with that being said, gonna bring in my good friend Nevada. We got a bunch of new news. We have a star junior coming back. We have the team is out in LA. Where would you like to start tonight?
Well, let's start with next year. Got the word today that Will Kazmarek coming back for another season. Kind of unexpected in the tight end room. All of a sudden, the tight end room, you've got a Jelani Thurman who's had a really good bowl prep, really, really good. So much so that I'm calling that he might be part of the game plan here against the Ducks. You've got Will Kazmarek, who is one of my favorite players. Certainly a guy that if the game was in doubt, we needed a yard or whatever the situation was, he's the guy that I want on the field. And then you went out in the portal and you got Max Clare, who I think is the best tight end in the Big Ten, not named Loveland. So, you have to give credit when it's due. We try to be fair on the show. We've given the tight ends coach at Ohio State a lot of grief. But if you look at that room for next year, all of a sudden that could quietly become a team strength all of a sudden with Kazmarek, Thurman, and Clare. That's a good looking room. So Will K coming back. I love those portal ads that you get that turn out to be multi-year starters / contributors. I think those are like winning the Powerball a couple times over again because most of the portal situations you think about as being 1 year rentals, and I think Will K back. He was a guy that frankly, when we got him, I thought he was just a guy. When they got Will Kazmarek, I'm like, okay, just a guy. Excited about Caleb Downs, excited about Julian Sane, excited about Seth McLaughlin, but this one's a jag. But no, he's a player, man. He is a player, and when he's not in there, it's noticeable. So yeah, Will K coming in, man. They're in a great frame of mind. It's a really good game plan. It's a very aggressive game plan on both sides of the ball, and it's a game where you win. Especially on the defensive side, that Oregon doesn't have an answer for that, and Ohio State's going to exploit those advantages and really try to take advantage of what they feel is athleticism, the advantage that Ohio State's got on the defensive side of the ball. And, we've been the number one defense in the country in just about every category this entire year. Even our bad game, even our terrible game against Oregon, we gave it 32 points. And when that's like your low water mark and like the worst game and the thing that causes you to completely reassess, and it's not it's not that bad. It's not that bad. And so I think for Ohio State, it's not that bad. And so I think for Ohio State, they are ready to get after it. Defense has got something to prove. Offense has got something to prove. Frame of mind to do it. So I just can't wait for the game.
Yeah, I think that it all starts and ends with Caleb Downs on defense. I think he's the guy that the more I watched him against Tennessee, the more he is doing a lot. I mean, he lines up everywhere. He plays Sam linebacker. He plays kind of this hybrid roverish middle linebacker look. And he is not scared. He reminds me of Brian Dawkins, because I studied a lot of Brian Dawkins. I think he's one of the best safeties. Him and Ed Reeder, I think, as good as there's ever been at safety. Sean Taylor, like there's certain guys that are just impact guys, instinctive, but they're not scared either. Not every safety's got the chin to play the run in the running game. A lot of those guys will tilt their head or turn their head to the side. Caleb is not that guy. So I'm going to get right into the film room, because I've been excited to break this down all day. Watching a play where, Jim Knowles has them all over the place. And this is the guy that if you're the quarterback, man, you have to ID where is Caleb Downs? What are they trying to do with him this play? And how is he being used as kind of a counterbalance? I mean, he's the guy that when they load the box up, he's coming down. He's going to probably play Mike linebacker, middle linebacker. And they kind of spread out the edges with Sonny and Cody Simon, because Cody's good enough to play Will linebacker, and Sonny's basically kind of like a hybrid Sam linebacker when they do this. And when I show you this, it's just real interesting. So, and another guy that makes a lot of this work is Jordan Hancock, because Jordan Hancock is underrated of a defenders we've had, and he really is a good player. And Jordan Hancock they put him back in the deep safety. So, traditionally, you've got your strong here, you've got your free here. So strong safety or free safety. So, instead of a traditional nickel who would normally be about right here, you've got Caleb Downs, who's right here. So Caleb is basically playing like a deep middle linebacker versus this formation where they've got kind of they got like a fullbackish guy, they got a tight endish guy, and they love to run this counter stuff. They take these wide splits to keep the DBs out of the picture, kind of really put them on islands, kind of stress out these safeties. But you look at where Caleb is, and he's the guy that has to read everything. He can drop back and play the pass, but when it is run fit time, zero fear. And he takes on a pulling tight end. So this tight end pulls on this little counter play, and Caleb tattoos him, takes him out, and makes a big pile, which again, that's what you do in the running game. Sometimes you have to sacrifice yourself, sacrifice your body. But he's got the nose for it, man. And so they're running their little counter play that they like to run, and this is in vogue, like a lot of this counter stuff where, it's a down block, he's working back to here, a back block. So he's going to pull, he's pulling and kicking. He is lead blocking, and he's going to take a counter step and lead on Caleb. But watch Caleb take this guy on here. And again, this is Caleb Downs right here. He is as good of a safety as we've ever had. And here he is taking on, a 255 or 60 pound tight end. And again, is it fun to do this? No. Is he scared? Not at all. He doesn't turn his head. He takes him on right down the middle, causes the pile up, and that's a spectacular run defense. And again, if he's a safety who's scared, he could get splattered, and this thing could crater open. But instead, he makes the pile. Everyone rallies to the ball, and you see you talk about silver bullets, like all the hats. You got your pile here. It's just a beautiful run fit. And again, I think that the way Caleb plays it, he just not every DB is built like that. It's like not every wide receiver wants to block. Not every, a lot of these skill guys, they don't want to get their nails dirty. But I mean, Caleb Downs does everything. And I watch his tape and I'm just like, I will weep when he leaves, because he's so good and he does so many things well. And that doesn't show up on the box score. That doesn't count as anything. That's just him taking on a lead blocker, splattering him, getting him on the ground, and shutting down the run. And again, I think that you'll watch him, and I'll dig up some other plays as we're sitting here where he's playing Sam linebacker. Because again, versus RPOs, he's the eraser. And again, I love what Jim Knowles is doing with him. I think it has a lot of impact. And between that and our pass rush, I think that it's a much different scheme than what Oregon faced the first game, which I think will cause them problems. Because again, Caleb Downs is a guy you can do a million things with. Like he'll be a top 5 pick when he comes out, because he can do everything, and he runs like a deer. He's like a 4.3 guy, but he just, he's a great tackler, ultra instinctive. And again, he's going to be at a different level. And again, when it gets to be those shot plays like 1st and 10 or third and long, I mean, he'll be the guy that erases a lot of the deep stuff. Nevada, your thoughts on Caleb?
Yeah, well, it's really interesting how they kind of got him in that robber, whatever position you want to call that. Um, but it's just it's kind of going back to the concept of having the quarterback being the guy, your best athlete touch the ball every time on the offensive side. You want to you've got your guy who's your best athlete on the defensive side, and do you really want to have him 15 yards off the ball at safety and just covering the deep shot and dealing with people that have broken through the first two lines of defense. This way they've been able to activate him in both the running and passing game. And as you said, he's so elite in run support. I don't want to jinx him and say put the dreaded whammy on him with the he hasn't missed a tackle all year type of thing, but he hasn't missed many if he has. And I love getting him closer to the line of scrimmage. You can even activate him in the pass rush game, which he's very good as well. He's very slippery, very bendy, can change directions well. So no, I think if you looked at the one thing, and you reference the pass rush, we can talk about the stunting and twisting and the bringing of more numbers, the abandoning just simulated pressure and going to real pressure. The all that stuff aside, the number one biggest defense change in the defense has been the way that they've moved Caleb from deep to closer to the line of scrimmage, moving him in that position, putting him in the center of the field, letting him work sideline to sideline, and it's a much different Ohio State defense. And again, Oregon sees this. And they'll have plans for it because Dan Lanning is a smart guy and an aggressive guy, and Dylan Gabriel's an ultra experienced quarterback. So it's not like they're going to see this for the first time, in the Rose Bowl. But I like the way the defense is playing. I love the aggression, and I think it's literally the only way you can beat a team like Oregon with a quarterback like Dylan Gabriel is have that guy that's in the middle of the field, that controls the middle of the field, enables you to bring the pressure, enables you to get Dylan Gabriel off his mark. And I really think that's the plan for Ohio State in the Rose Bowl, and I think they'll be successful more often than not.
Yeah, and I think there's some guys that didn't have their best games. Like Sonny's playing much better. I mean, I think that Tyreek is a freak of nature. I think our depth guys are playing better too. Guys like Kenyatta. Kenyatta was a force versus Tennessee. Caden Curry, Mitchell Melton. So you've got, I think, some more depth behind your starters. But a guy, and I got to show you this one because this is one of my favorite ones. Is I love Tyreek. Like what Tyreek does is something that again people don't see much of. But again, this is they do these super wide splits out here. But we match it. We go 4. They've got 3. So this is going to be dead. This is nothing. So your little overhang guy, he's got to get this edge. And then you've got your edge player here. And then everybody's fills their gap. Sonny's in the B gap here. But we play this so well. It's because of how physical we are. I mean, our front. And again, the guy you got to watch is Tyreek. Tyreek's right here. He's got the white tail on his butt. And he lock out, hands, shed. JT same way. But Tyreek is such a load inside, and he is playing at a crazy level right now. Like I love watching Leak. Here he is. The camera's kind of blocking him right now, but they've got this wide split. So this wide split, it tells me it's probably coming here. Tyreek's smart enough to know this. They're trying to do this little out move and wrap him for here. Doesn't get there because our guys are physical. And again, Ty Hamilton the same way. Lathan's coming up to check, get the call. But again, you watch Tyreek. Watch Tyreek right here. Tyreek shocks this guy. Gets him off. The hands are great. Power, shed, makes the play. I mean, him and JT. And again, that's the difference. Again, we're outnumbered. Again, I always talk about the numbers. And again, this is 5-on-5 right here. We've got 4 down, and we've got our linebacker. They've got 5 blockers, a runner in the quarter. So we're outnumbered here. And with our guys beat their guys. And you look at how physical we are up front. We've got 4 guys on the ball carrier as Tyreek and JT bring them down. And again, you watch this tape and you watch how physical our D line's playing. It gives us a real chance. I mean, you look at some of the variants we added to the pass rush. It's a different team. And again, I can't express that enough when I watch this tape. I love watching guys like Tyreek. Guys like Tyreek are so hard to go against. They're so disruptive because he's 340 pounds or whatever he is, but he's so twitchy and he's so strong. And he's playing he's really sharp when it comes to reading these run fits, can feel a double team. And again, he's a guy, he'll play like 12 years in the league easy as long as he stays healthy. And again, he's on our team. So again, there's certain guys like him, Jack, JT, Ty. I mean, our 4 seniors up front are ferocious. I mean, they're very difficult against the run. And again, when you do that, when you whip the guys up front, then you can add coverage to the back end, and you don't have to give up a lot. And again, when these guys can get pressure with 4 or 5, you can play some coverage back there. You're not just out there on an island. And I really think that they're playing at a higher level than they were against Oregon. And again, some of it's the scheme, because the scheme's different, but I think that these guys are playing with a different level of intensity and fire. I'm not saying they didn't play hard against Oregon, but this is different. I mean, they physically dominated Tennessee's offensive line. And I think that this is going to be a much different story than Oregon. Because again, I think that things have changed. I think the variances are going to be huge. And, playing a team a second time, I mean, they snuck attack us. And it's something that Urban talked about, and I love Urban Meyer, but, we hadn't really seen skill like Oregon up until that game. We played Akron and Western Michigan and whatever. And that's not our fault. We didn't schedule it. But, we've played real teams since that last Oregon game. And we've beaten good teams. We've beaten Penn State. We've beaten Indiana. We've beat Tennessee. So this is a different level of experience and feel, and I think that it's gonna build really well for us. Nevada, any thoughts? Because again, I love watching Tyreek, man. He's one of my favorite players because he's so physical, and I remember the feeling of going against a guy like that. Like, he's like a more explosive version of Quinn Pickhock was like that. Quinn Pickhock was impossible to move, and he was an All-American in 06, and like when I had to go against Quinn, it was always tough. Like, we weren't going to get a big push on him. He wasn't that great of a pass rusher, but he was super strong, super physical, impossible to move in the running game. But like, I could never get a good double team on Quinn. But those are the kind of guys you like to have on your team. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, well, and remember, he was hurt earlier in the year. Missed a couple of games and was just kind of coming back. Come the Oregon time, and as you pointed out, since then, we've been battle tested. We played multiple playoff teams. We played 3 playoff teams since then in Penn State, Indiana, and Tennessee, and won all 3. So it's we're definitely not lacking for experience. We're playing our best football of the year. We've got a great game plan, and we're as healthy as can be considered under that. For me, I said this on the last one, but health for me, we take off the shelf, just because we've been able to practice with this offensive line now for a month, and so what que sera, whatever it is, and Seth and Josh, we thank them for their efforts to Ohio State and their All-American trees and their Remingtons, but they ain't here, and we're moving on with some guys that are, and I like I said, I love the way that this game is shaping up, and that they don't always shape up this way. There's a lot of times you go into these games and you're like, man, I am not sure what we're gonna get. I'm not liking what I'm hearing. A lot of dissension, a lot of whatever. There can be a million. There can be health. It could be mental health. It can be guys looking at the league. I mean, there's lots of things that can distract a team nowadays. And Ohio State's managed to dodge that choppy water and come into the quarterfinals of the college football playoff, playing the best that they have all year on both sides of the ball. And you really can't ask for any more than that. And I think it's going to set up I'd like to say it's going to be a classic Rose Bowl, but I really think Ohio State, I don't see, I heard Joel Klatt talk today. He's like, he's got Ohio State like 42-41 or something, which seemed like a giant hedge to me, kind of a, hey, I think Ohio State's going to win, but Oregon's going to cover, and, blah, 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 blah. I don't think it's going to be that close. I think the clock strikes 12 for Cinderella, and I think Oregon, the coach becomes a pumpkin, and the coachmen become mice again, or whatever it is, and Dylan Gabriel scampers off with his 12-1 or 13-1 record. Great college quarterback, but I think the dream dies for Oregon in the Rose Bowl.
Yeah, and I'm going to show a little bit of the game stuff that we were running. And again, this is last one before we get on the super chats, but this is really, really good stuff. So Tyreek is right here, my boy. Big Kool-Aid. He's all red, got the red sleeves on. And they're running what they call an ET. So here's your N, this JT. Here's your T. So the N is going to go first. The T is going to go second. They run the same thing over here. What this is going to be is JT is going to sacrifice himself so Tyreek can get pressure. So JT's job is to take a hard step, get this tackle to come upfield, vertical set, and then come in and just kill this guard. Kill him. Pick him. Literally run into him. And then also eat up this tackle. So when you do that, Tyreek is going to loop around and get the pressure. Now, the thing that's unique about this, and this is why Tyreek and Larry Johnson are excellent, the thing Tyreek does to make this really difficult is he takes a really big, hard step in here. And that makes this guard hesitate and think that it's an inside move. And after he takes that first step, he loops right back out. And again, big fat guys, it's really tough for them to change direction. So they know that. And again, this is something that, there's ways to run the stunt that aren't as effective. This is very difficult to go against. So, Tyreek takes this big step. So again, when they do this little move right here, they're thinking it's an edge pressure, because that's generally when they do that little, we used to call that a pirate stunt, where they go into the interior gap. You think that there's an edge pressure coming, but when you fake it and you take that big step and then you loop back out, really hard to go against. So watch this guard. This guard is in hell right now. He thinks it's an inside move, so he sets heavy inside, and then all of a sudden JT picks him, and all of a sudden Leak, this tackle doesn't have him, because you have to pass this off. Like, the tackle has to push this guy down, and the guard has to be on the same surface so that you can pass this thing off. And the guard's not there, so the tackle is like stuck on him. He can't let him go because the guard's in no man's land because of this big step. Like, Tyreek takes this big step inside, and this guard thinks, oh, it's an inside move, and he fakes him out, and he loops back out. So Tyreek is scot-free here because JT does an excellent job, and Tyreek taking that big giant step inside, it scares them because they think it's an edge pressure. And again, I've been in his shoes and in his shoes. I know exactly what he's thinking. And then Jack does a good job on the other side, picking for Ty. Now, Ty's probably not going to get here because he's playing nose. Tyreek playing the 3. He's kind of the key guy on this to get home. And sure as can be, here comes Big Kool-Aid. Big Kool-Aid gets them. And JT, this is great effort by JT because he basically fights through a double team. This should be. This guy's he's in La La Land. But I mean, JT cleans this thing up, and sure Tyreek's mad at himself. He rips the guy's head off and misses. But that's, look, you can see his back because he's not going to get any credit for that sack right there. But I'm just telling you, that is, you want to talk about hard. You want to talk about because it's one thing if one of the guys are good, but when you've got JT and Tyreek on the same side, that's really tough because those are 2 first-round picks basically that you're going against. And when you scheme it up like that, you better be right. Because I'm telling you, JT is ascending. And Bill Belichick, I mean, I talked to NFL folks. Bill Belichick loved JT in the scouting process when he was thinking about going to the league. Obviously, he went to Carolina. Not going to be drafted in Carolina, but guys like JT play a long time in the league. They're really effective. And if Jonathan Cooper can sign for $60 million, what's JT worth? The more I watch him, the more I'm JT's going to be sorely, sorely missed because he does a lot of stuff, doesn't get the credit, didn't have the big sack here, but go look at Joey Bosa's last year here in 15. And again, I love Joey Bosa. You guys know what I think about Joey. But, I mean, the stats are similar to him and Jack Sawyer. JT, 6-7 sacks and production in the tackle game. And go look it up. And, again, I know people say, well, Joey got triple teamed or whatever. Well, these guys get double teamed. And team scheme for these guys, too, because they're really good. So, again, I love this D-line, and I love our back end. And, and Denzel's really played well since that game against Oregon. But Caleb Downs might be the best player in America. The more I watch him, the more I'm just he does stuff, and I'm just and we have another year of him, and whew, good stuff. All right, Nevada, any thoughts on that? And we'll dig into some super chats.
No, I thought it was kind of telling when they were interviewing Jim Knowles, and one of the crack beat writers was so basically the question was about how Jack and JT finally had a big game against Tennessee because they both had 1.5 sacks or 2 sacks or whatever it was. And Knowles, I knew it immediately. Knowles was no, I think they've been great all year. You guys are looking at different things than I'm looking at. And that's kind of how I evaluate them. It's not just about sacks. it's about a lot of different things that you can do on the defensive line that you know, I mean, defense of everything. Defense is the ultimate team game, and you can't have the number one defense in the country with bad players on it. You just can't. And certainly not at defensive end. And Ohio State's been number one in the country over the last 24 games and just about every defensive category. And those guys have practically played every play for the last 2 years, 3 years. So no, those guys are terrific players, and they are going to be sorely missed when after we win the national championship. But we'll worry about that after we hoist the trophy.
And I love when those guys illuminate how dumb they are. Because again, if I wanted to learn about football, I'd listen to people that understand and study football. If I wanted to learn about how to bake a potato, I'd listen to a journalist, or how to, figure out who makes parking ticket meters, and that type of that. That's who I'd go to. That they'd be the go-to. If I want to know how to cite something in a certain paper or whatever, journalists are great for that. When they ask for football, then you ask Jim Knowles, like, do you think these guys are playing good? They finally played well. Like, that's wild, because these guys, they're devastating against the run. They wore out Tennessee's tackles. And again, I know the SEC, everyone's bigger and badder and meaner and faster, and that's been nothing but a bunch of just garbage, like, for years. It's been, and again, the SEC is great at marketing, and I've said for 15 years they've been in bed with ESPN, and they rode Nick Saban's coattails, and then they rode Kirby Smart's. Urban, Nick, and Kirby kind of carried the whole conference, but they got into bed with ESPN. The propaganda mill started spinning up, and it's gross. But again, ESPN has a vested interest in the SEC doing well, because they literally are invested in the SEC network. So the more the SEC wins, the more they can have SEC Fan Fest, and the SEC is amazing and whatever. So eventually you stop drinking the Kool-Aid, and you realize, like, they're not really that good. Like, I mean, we'd be favored versus Georgia tomorrow. We'd be favored versus anybody in the SEC tomorrow. Easy. We'll be favored versus Texas. So tell you what, man, our guys are pretty damn good. All right, let's get this thing cooking, because we have a bunch of super chats coming in. Appreciate you guys. Sean Linksky, thanks for the 5. Appreciate you. All right, let's see. You and Nevada agree on a lot. What is one take / opinion on this game / championship run that you disagree on? Ooh, Nevada, I don't know. And this is tough, because, like, I don't know. What can you say that we disagree on? Is there something legitimately, or you can spin something up and kind of be funny about it? But what do we disagree on in this game?
I don't know. We disagree, but I don't know, because I've never asked you this question. I don't know. I think Jelani is going to play a big role in the game and have a big role. You may think differently, and you may end up being right, and I may end up being right. But that's the one thing that we haven't talked about is Jelani's role, because I've heard and picked up that I think that they may expand his role as he's going through. Now, when they do throw it to him, he's got to catch it and not look like he's like the hamburger helper guy with the little those big white hands and just slap at the ball and stuff like that. But I don't know. That would be one thing. That is. I think it's going to be a Ohio State. I think it will be a high score. I think it's an over game that Ohio State wins by multiple scores. So I'll throw it back to you, Mr. Barton. Do you agree with any or all of those things, or some of those things?
Well, I don't. It depends on what the definition of a big game is. Because, like, for Jelani, like, when you're the number 3 tight end right now, like, is a big game that he plays 10 plays and gets a couple key blocks? Is it he catches a touchdown, he has 4 catches? Like, I don't know. So again, like, for Jelani, if he scores a touchdown or gets a first down reception, like, that's a huge game thus far in his career. So I don't know. Like, I buy it. And we love playing our tight ends, and we play 3 or 4 tight ends. And if I'm recruiting our boy Claire from Purdue, I'm saying, look, this is an offense that is a tight end friendly offense, because Chip loves him some tight ends. So we run more tight ends than I'd ever run. But I don't know. Like, I don't know. Blowout, like, do you think like 27-41, 41-7? Like, how big of a blowout are you thinking? I think that they'll score 21-28 on us, and I think we'll score 42-ish. Kind of like a Tennessee type score.
Yeah, that's kind of how I'm seeing it. Believe it or not, that is kind of how I'm seeing the game.
Well, I think that I give their credit to their offense, and I think that they're explosive, and I think that they know what they're doing, and they've got a good quarterback, and he runs, and they do some stuff formationally that's really tough to stop, and Like when Dylan Gabriel ran that touchdown in on that read option, like it's tough, you know. And then Tennessee ran the same exact play, and we didn't really have anybody there, so I'm sure they're going to adjust that so that it's a little bit tougher to go against. But I don't know. Like, I mean, do I think that they're going to beat us twice? No. I mean, that's really hard to do, especially when our guys have a lot of motivation. And Oregon's got motivation, but not like our guys. I mean, our guys didn't win the Big Ten. They didn't beat Michigan. They got, beaten. I mean, Oregon's been fed nothing but cupcakes and lemonade for the last, 3 months. And our guys have been bludgeoned by the fan base after Oregon, after Michigan, don't win the Big Ten. Now the bandwagon's loading back up again, but everyone jumped off the bandwagon for a hot minute. So players don't forget that. I mean, when everyone's y'all suck, fire everybody, fire the coach. And again, like we always explore every option, but I just never thought it was the smartest thing to do to fire Ryan when you've got, you don't have a huge edge in terms of, hey, if I go get this guy, then we're going to go from here to here. Now, if Urban was, 42 years old again, then let's talk, but he's not. So there wasn't a guy out there. And plus the buyout didn't make sense. And then, Ryan comes back and we rally and see how we go. But, I don't know. Like the Jelani thing, it's just not like it'd be like me saying that, Hero Canoe is going to have a big game or something because he has 2 tackles and, spells Ty Hamilton for a hot minute. I guess Kenyatta Jackson has a big game because he gets a couple sacks.
I mean, if Hero Canoe has 2 tackles in the game,
that's like Jelani Thurman having a touchdown. It's like the same thing.
Yeah. Well, I will ride with Jelani having a touchdown before Hero Canoe racks up 2 tackles.
Two tackles. He probably doesn't have 2 all season, I'm thinking.
I was going to say, I'm not sure what the stats are, but he hasn't done much. That's for sure.
No.
He's very friendly. He's very friendly with the Michigan players. Like he got like the most congenial and stuff like that, which is kind of nice.
That was wild. That was something where I might have talked to him about having a little bit less of his European decor because when Mason Graham's calling everybody on the team a bunch of pussies, I'm not going to say, hey, then he goes over and daps him up afterwards. And I'm just like, yeah, I don't know. And again, I know I'm from the 80s. I know I'm different. I know I'm probably too edgy for the modern players where they all have to exchange jerseys and give each other hugs and kisses after the game. But I would have not been cool with that. But again, that's just me. What do I know? But yeah, I don't know what we disagree on. I mean, really, it's hard because, like, what am I going to say? Will Howard sucks or Trey Henderson sucks? Or, I mean, there's just not many things that are just clear cut. Nevada thinks this guy's this, and I think that guy is that. Because most of it's, I mean, when you're this deep into the season, man, there's just not a lot to discover.
I actually, how about one? I believe in our kicker. I think our kicker, if called upon, will deliver. And I know you're skeptical hippo on the get-go. I know that.
Well, I'm gonna send a Molotov cocktail into your igloo that you're gonna be sitting in Finland if he misses a kick to lose this one. So I'll make sure I'll have.
I just found out my Airbnb's got a sauna. I've got my own sauna there in Helsinki. How good is that?
Well, I mean, in Finland, like that's all people do: sit in the sauna and jump in the ice plunge. That's all they do. That's why they live. That's why Teemu Selanne played till he's like 47 years old in the NHL. It's because that's all they do.
I'm gonna actually podcast from the sauna. That's what I'm gonna do. If you hear the little hissing of the rocks, that's gonna be Nevada in the sauna.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear that when you're crying about my phone's melting. My phone's melting. Take it off the rocks, dude. I can't go any longer. It's at 1%. It melts like my phone.
Oh yeah.
Take it off. We'll get out of the sauna.
I'm not.
Rodney Dangerfield.
I'm staying in the sauna the whole time, man. That's it.
Oh my god. I'm gonna lock Jaden Felding in the sauna if he misses a damn kick again. Cordell Jackson, thanks for the 10. I appreciate you. No one's going to talk about OSU Natty Run and how all the games from here on out is like an away game, and the opposing team is like home field advantage. That's weird if you ask me. It's really OSU. I've been talking about that. I said, look, when I said this is like Ohio State could be the greatest team of all time, I was like, they have to go play. And again, Pasadena obviously is not home field advantage for Oregon, but it's not like we're playing in the Sugar Bowl. We're not playing in Louisiana. We're playing in LA, which is a lot closer to Oregon than it is Ohio. We're not playing in the Peach Bowl. We're not playing in the Orange Bowl. We're playing on the West Coast versus Oregon. So of course that's a lot easier, a lot closer, whatever. Then we play Texas in Dallas, of course, in the Cotton Bowl, and then we would play Georgia in Georgia. So again, I know it's always funny how this stuff works, but again, that doesn't make it any easier. Again, you're talking to a guy who ended his career playing LSU in New Orleans. That's not, I mean, it's not fair. It doesn't matter because, again, it's just a crowd, but it's like, our fans have to get on a flight and fly to New Orleans and get a hotel and whatever. Like LSU's fans just jump in the car and drive, a couple hours and they're there. So, like when we can start playing like a bowl game in the new Browns stadium, then I'll be very happy. Or played in Indy, whatever, where our fans can just get in the car and drive. But we never get that. We never get that luxury because we're in the North. And again, Nevada, when he gave his little dissertation on the advent of bowl games, and he's like, well, come to sunny Los Angeles and watch the Rose Bowl. Like, it makes total sense because when it's December, nobody wants to come to Ohio. Everybody wants to go to Florida and go to Hawaii and everywhere else, Aspen and go skiing. But nobody wants to come here and hang out in Cleveland when it's freezing. But I said that. I was like, if we run the table and we beat Oregon and then we beat the Texas Longhorns in Jerry World in Dallas, that will be wild. And then we beat the Georgia Bulldogs for the Ultimate Revenge Tour in Atlanta, then that will be insane. So what are your thoughts on that, Nevada?
Well, I mean, has anybody kind of put down on paper how expensive it is if you want to go to all this stuff? I mean, between travel and tickets and the hotel, and I mean, it's crazy. And I mean, I know that it hasn't affected the games so far in terms of the attendance because the games are so well attended and stuff. But I mean, at some point, don't people have to say uncle? Because I mean, if you're a fan, just a fan, and you're not a multimillionaire, or you're just a guy that wants to go to the games, I mean, the face value for the national championship thing, I want to say it's like $1,000. I mean, it was like a Super Bowl ticket, and that's just the face value on the ticket. Let alone short notice travel and everything else that you got to do because you can't like book this stuff and get these non-refundable rooms and stuff like that in advance. I mean, I just think that I don't know. It's getting crazy, and I know they're counting on fans being local in the market in terms of doing it. But yeah, it would be an unbelievable run. Against four classic teams, all on the road. But hey, we played Oregon in Oregon, so this Rose Bowl game to me feels so great because I know Buckeye Nation shows up and they'll be at least 50% of the crowd and certainly at least 50% of the noise.
Well, I mean, it angers me because our fan base is the one that always gets gouged. It drives me crazy because I'm like, make these people fly to Ohio, make them come to Indianapolis, make them come to the East Coast somewhere. I don't even care if it's in Minnesota at the Viking, like somewhere closer than, right down the road. Cause that's what happens. Like, where do we play Georgia at? In Georgia? Where do we play TCU at? I don't know. Like I said, it's annoying to me because, our fans, I know that, I mean, a lot of our fans are going to the Rose Bowl 'cause it's going to be awesome. But then like how many start to get depleted, going to the Cotton Bowl and then going to I mean, and a lot of people are just going to hang out for the championship and then they're just going to spend it on that. And it's ungodly expensive. And it's like, I mean, it's and it's hard on the families. I mean, I'm glad that this is why I love NIL. Cause like, for some of these kids that make some money, they can actually help their parents get to these games. Cause it was hard to get my mom to one bowl game, let alone a Big Ten title and then 4 games after that. Cause again, the airlines gouge the crap out of Ohio people. Like as soon as they find out we're going to the Rose Bowl, man, those flights skyrocket. And I'm sure they're already ridiculously high for Atlanta for the championship and for Dallas for the Cotton Bowl. So if you got points, book that stuff in advance and cancel it. But that's just kind of the way it is now. So I don't know. I feel bad, but it is what it is. Larry Daniels, thanks for the 5. Appreciate you. And thanks for being an Ultra member as well. Was there a game you played in where you feel the coaches learned a bigger lesson than the players? Nevada OH? Well, it's a Florida game. We talked about that yesterday where, we went out way too long, way too early. The break wasn't great. I think that we tried to make things convenient and we had that old dumb rule where you'd get a check and we're like, well, let's have everybody fly to the bowl site instead of having everybody fly to Columbus and then fly their fly on the charter. I mean, so again, that never happened again after that game. So that was a pretty big lesson. Well, obviously, and don't have Roy Hall tackle Ted Ginn and break his leg in half. I mean, that's another good lesson is if you're going to celebrate, don't try not to injure the best player on the team. Because that was the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life. So, yeah, I mean, it would have to be that game. I think, Michigan is one that you always learn from losing to Michigan. But yeah, I think, trying to think of any other ones. Not that I was really around, I mean, obviously we lost to Illinois my senior year. That was terrible. But yeah, I think that, the Florida game is the one that tops it for me. Nevada, any, thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, I hope it's the Michigan game 2024, which I promise we'd never talk about again. I think the coaches learned a incredible lesson. I don't even want to talk about it, but yeah, lesson learned. The game plans for Tennessee, as we laid out for you, the game plan for the Rose Bowl, which I will lay out tonight on BuckeyeScoop.com in my Rose Bowl prediction thread, because this is my final podcast of 2024. I'm leaving the big cuddly bear all alone from here on out for the New Year's Eve show, because I will be on my way to Finland. So you're going to be on your own, but I will put it on there. The game plan for the Rose Bowl as I see it, and I think it's a marked change from what we saw against Michigan. So lesson learned and hopefully applied to beat Oregon.
So you're dissing me for New Year's Eve? Shock of shocks.
I am dissing you, exactly. New Year's Eve is kind of overrated. You ever have a good New Year's Eve? All my New Year's Eves kind of sucked, to be honest with you. They weren't great.
I've never, because I just, now I'm old and I've got kids, so never. And then
never. I'm talking when you were young and cuddly. Did you ever have a good New Year's Eve?
No, because I was always getting ready for a game. We'd go walk around Old Town Scottsdale and stuff, but it was just kind of like, I don't know. I think it's the worst night of the year to go out because everything is ridiculously expensive and reservations are hard to get, and like, and plus I'm just old. Like, I mean, I don't, and you guys, this is going to be my New Year's Eve. This is going to be my celebration. I'm sitting here on Buckeye Scoop, probably break some film down. Might order Five Guys DoorDash, get crazy with it, and might do a toast with Kim at the end of the night of this electrolyte drink that I drink. So yeah, it's going to be absolutely fantastic, and I think it'll be a wonderful day. So the finished flash will be in the air and dipping out, so it'll be good. Sandy Bob's Patio Burgers and Beer. I hope you're good, my friend. Thanks for the 5. Are you familiar with fan-funded NIL, like Fan Stake? Interesting idea, but I'd worry about fans going all in on guys who could be bust left a bad fit on OSU. I've looked at that. It's like a thing where you can kind of, stake money towards players, and if they pick your school, then the kid gets the money, and if they don't, you get a refund. But I don't know. Like, I mean, it's like I've got a fireplace I could throw my money into, I guess, and it'd probably be as good of an investment as hoping that we get some, David Sanders Jr. or whatever. I mean, I'd rather give money just to give it to the foundation. They've been doing a great job. Stuff like that. I don't know. And I don't know I don't know who runs it. If it's not a nonprofit, again, like the foundation's a nonprofit. So if you give, $1,000 or $500 or $100, like you get a tax deduction, which again, like if I'm going to give money to something, I better at least get a tax deduction out of it. So I don't know. I don't know anything about Fan Stake, but I'm very happy for Brian Schottenstein and those guys at the foundation, because they've been crushing it. And again, it's not an accident that all of a sudden our roster retention is great and our the portal's been amazing, and we're getting a bunch of these kids because we're paying these kids. I know we're paying these guys, and it's real money. So they're doing some great job fundraising, and thank God we got rid of Gene Smith so we didn't use Cohesion and 1870, which were two absolute dumpster fires and terrible organizations that were disasters. And again, 1870 hasn't tweeted since they put that thing out where they said that they were going to have a joint venture with Michigan to fund each other and fund the rivalry. They haven't had a single tweet since then, unless they tweeted today. So again, Ross Bjork got in there and he let the guys that actually have money run the show, which is great. And it's been fantastic because again, we've raised a bunch of money. We're retaining our roster and we're enhancing it. Like we've added two really good tackles, the best tight end in the portal. And as guys keep coming along, like we're not done. we're still shopping pretty good. So again, I would just give it to the foundation because I think that's the they've been proven and they've been successful. And again, like I said, I always said instead of having this stupid moronic 3 different collectives and cohesion died as I predicted, 1870s dead as I predicted, and I said the foundation would reign supreme because again, I just follow the money and I follow the connections and I follow. I went to the foundation's fundraiser and I saw who was sitting at those tables. I was like, yeah, they're gonna smash these guys, and they did. So again, that's why you guys pay attention to what we say and not what the pablum and the propaganda mill that's the rest of the media says, because they're all team 1870 and team cohesion. I was like, yeah, we'll see. And I guess we were right. Nevada, your thoughts on fan stake and other NIL groups?
Well, there's articles today about, a number of things NIL related, but one of them being, giving money to these NIL groups, and the money doesn't always end up with the players. And so I'm not saying that in regard to particularly fan stake or anything, but I would be very, very hesitant to give any money to any for-profit and frankly to any entity other than the foundation. I think if you're giving your money, you're really taking a risk that one, where the money's going to end up, because when this thing started, I was like, man, there's going to be a bunch of, Johnny come lately, hangers on. They're going to want to get in the NIL game because there's a lot of money. There's millions of dollars per team floating around now, and they want to get their piece. And they want to play the big man with somebody else's money so they can wave $1 million checks at players, but it's not their money. And that means big dinners or flights or big salaries or great hotel rooms or offices or whatever it is. But I would just be very hesitant. Like I said, if you want to give money to NIL, if you want to help Ohio State, the foundation, and that's not a commercial for the foundation, because Kirk and I, we don't get anything from the foundation. We have no endorsement deal. We have no implied. We have nothing. We have no interest in it at all. Our only interest is helping Ohio State football. And if you want to give money, the foundation's the way to do it.
Yeah, and like I said, like Gene Smith screwed that up from the start. And Ross got in there and he said he looked at what the other groups had raised. And he looked at the foundation. He said, why did we make the foundation, who's raised more money than the other two combined times a multiplier, and make them the basketball collective? And we made these guys who can't raise any money the football one. And so Ross flipped it and basically deleted the other two. And now, you guys noticed this here at the Ohio State game. The 50-50 drawing 2 years ago was cohesion. Last year it was 1870. And then this year it's finally the foundation. So again, Ross figured out, hey, let's go with the people that actually raise the money and write the checks, and not the people that are just blustering and being promoted by the athletic department. Because again, you got to follow when all of the other media is saying something, which they do because they get edicts from the athletic department and Jerry Amig and Gene's with, hey, push these guys, push 1870, push cohesion, and then we're saying, hey, I don't think that the money's adding up. You should probably follow the foundation because they're raising way more money. And then all of a sudden they say, oh, we don't know what we're talking about. And then all of a sudden, look who's standing. And again, we got Caleb Downs, JJ Smith, Julian Sayin, Will Howard, and look who they endorse, the foundation. So again, it wasn't, again, I'm like Nevada. We don't get paid by them. I don't care. You know what makes me happy? Ohio State being really good. It makes this show way better to do. It's way more fun. And when we go out and get Max Clare and we get all these 2 good tackles, and that makes our lives better because you guys are excited to hear about these new players and can we retain the roster and how can we even be better next year potentially, which again, it's a lot, but we went out and got a defensive end, and we're not done shopping, and it's because the foundation's raising money because that's the cost of admission now. So again, this is not a commercial, but we want to give you guys the real scoop, which is why we do what we do. And that's why we do the numbers that we do. Because again, if you guys want to listen to mealy mouth pablum, listen to the other sites because they're going to tell you what they're told to tell you. And we're going to tell you the truth. And there's a huge difference. OSU Bucks 08, thanks for the 5. Tez is unstoppable on 3rd down. He destroyed Hancock. Any chance Downs handles him. Tez on 3rd down may decide this game. That in the Gable run game. Well, we'll see. I mean, I think that you could double team a guy and take him away. So if he's really that big of a problem, I'm sure that we'll have an answer for it. Because again, teams do stuff against JJ all the time, and he can battle through a lot of it. But they'll have wrinkles that we haven't seen, I'm sure. And But Jim Knowles has proven that he's excellent at playing chess against them. So, Nevada, your thoughts on Tez? Can we lock him down?
Oh, for sure. I mean, he's a real good player. I yeah, that I'm not taking as much from that first game as a lot of people are, just because I just it was just one of those. It was one of those nights. It was an aberration of something we'd never seen before, something we have never seen since. And honestly, it's going to be ready for it. Oregon's got great speed on the outside. I agree about the Gabriel run game. When you bring pressure, one of the flip sides of that is if he escapes the pressure, he's going to run for a while. So you got to get there. So it's got to be responsible pressure, and you got to get home, and you got to hit him. So no, it's going to be a cat and mouse game. But I think Jim Knowles has got a really good plan for how to deal with the speed on the outside and how to deal with Gabriel's escapability.
All right. F Driss is great, or FDR is great. Okay, sorry. Thanks for the deuce. What trick plays do you guys like against Oregon, or would you run against Oregon? My favorite play that is supremely underutilized is the old Tebow pop pass, the old Tebow fake the QB run, and then you take 2 steps, and then you just kind of loft it over the line to your tight end. Because again, we hit him in the first game with Will Howard's Q run, and I just think that, man, if you could design up a play that'd be so simple, it'd be very similar. Have the tight end block for a second and a half, and then shuck the guy on the ground and release, and nobody will be there. It'll be nobody home. I'd run the same play that they did against Will Howard, and I'd run a pop pass to the tight end. I think that's so hard to go against, and we haven't shown that. And that was something that Urban used to do with Tebow. And because everyone would load up on Tebow in the running game because he was a horse, and he would just loft it over to Hernandez or whoever the tight end was, and it's just like stealing. That would be my trick play. Nevada, do you have anything you'd like?
I like trick plays. I like fake punts. The reason I like fake punts is because you've already committed to giving the ball back to them. So I thought one of the great fake punts. I want to say it was a MAC team, Bowling Green, Ohio, one of those teams that did the fake punt where they snuck in the third string quarterback as the punter, and he threw that bomb down the left side to the guy for the touchdown. I thought that was a great play because a lot of times they're not guarding the gunners, going down the field, and that just becomes a receiver. And if your quarterback can throw it and throws it down there, you can make a big play. And if something happens and it doesn't work out, well, really all you've given up is yards. So I would do that. I would run a fake punt, just to and maybe even deepen your territory. You got to doing it when they expect it. Clearly that's great, but not as effective as doing it when they don't expect it. And if that involves a little bit of risk, then so be it. But that's what I like.
Well, I mean, would you do anything like an onside kick?
I would not. I would not do an onside kick, but but I mean, maybe. I mean, it just depends on what they're playing. You know what I'm saying? It depends on what they're playing, and can can your kicker execute it there? But yeah, both those plays are change of possession types of plays, field position type of plays. But I just think, the problem with an onside kick is if a defense, one of the guys up front catches it in full stride, he may break it and take it back to the house for a touchdown. I just think that there's, more bad things that can happen on a kickoff. But either one of those, I just think it conveys to your team that you're loose, that you're aggressive, that you're going for it, and players love that stuff. The players love it when you have some of that jazzy stuff kind of going up there. The Todd Beckman, Terrell Pryor, throw it to the quarterback, throw it to Pryor going. I mean, just stuff like that I think is fun, and I'd love to see Ryan kind of send the message to the team that he's loose Ryan and not tight Ryan.
So I'm going to diagram my play. I'll put it right here on the board. So this is the first play, the first touchdown that we scored. So what we did here is you see Will Howard here. It's the fake handoff to Quinshon. Quinshon becomes lead blocker, runs in the end zone. So what I would change is I would do everything up to this point, up to here, but I would do the RPO stuff. So I go here, I'd pull it, and where Jelani's releasing down in here, I would have him arc back this way, like take a step like it's this inside zone, and then either arc back, or you could even have him just feather back here where there's nobody. Because as soon as Quinshon's up here, I'd have Quinshon cut this edge, and then all of a sudden I'd have Jelani take the same footwork. Actually, you know what I do? I would have Jelani block out. I'd have him block this guy for a second so that he puts his hands on him, block out on him, 1,001, 1,002, shuck him, and then just find the soft spot right here. Find this grass. And then Will can do this. You've got an edge here. You've got an edge here. So you're all protected up. And then Will can take like one step like he's running it in, and Jelani can release right here to this grass and just loft it over their heads. That'd be my trick play. Because again, I just think that you can't defend that. And they've already shown how, the beauty about when you've already played somebody is you already know how they're going to line up and defend it. So, I mean, that would be my wrinkle. Because again, I just think that when you've got a quarterback running game in that tight red area inside the 5-yard line, that's hard to go against. And it's actually probably better if you're on about the 3 or the 4. That's on the 1. And you have all that space. Because I'm telling you, the safeties are coming. They're thinking that it's a run. And they got to get hats to Will Howard. They got to get in and fill their gaps. And, Jelani could block him for 1,001, 1,002. I mean, we used to run that play all the time when I was in high school as a tight end delay pass. And you block for a second, and then you throw the guy on the ground, and then you leak out. And it's hard to go against. It's basically a one-man route. And honestly, if it's covered, then just run it. Have Will just, cram it up in there and try to get the touchdown himself. So it's a true RPO. Yeah, that's a great question. FDR is great. Appreciate you, my man. Studley Budley, thanks for the 5. Kirk, I love your film breakdowns, my man. Keep up the good work. I appreciate you. Again, we love doing it because I know that you guys like to learn. And again, I try not to keep it real easy and simple. And that makes sense, because that's what makes me the happiest is when people say, hey, I learned a lot of stuff during the show from you in Nevada, and it's not just me pontificating and saying big words that makes you guys' eyes glaze over. Because I can't stand that when people try to act like they're the smartest human beings in the world, because it doesn't do anybody any good. Especially the folks who are tuned in trying to learn some football and be able to say, hey, this is why we do this, and this is really cool, and like that makes me happy. Because again, as Urban Meyer used to always say, I mean, you got to make sure the dumbest guy in the room has to be able to get it. So it doesn't matter how big of words you use or how smart you think you are on the chalkboard. Like, he got to be able to get it, and he's got to be able to teach it as good as you do. So, it's something that always stuck to me is make stuff simple, make it easy. Because a lot of people, they've never played football, they don't really know football, but they learn a lot of football from this show. And again, it makes me happy because it's just a different level. And again, I give a lot of credit to Urban, because he would bring in people who teach us how to teach things properly. And I've just learned in my career in sales and everything, it's like you got to make stuff simple, make it easy. Don't annoy people and try to act like you're the smartest human being in the world when it comes to your football knowledge. But I love studying stuff and making it simple and showing you guys this is what we should do, and this is what the team does, and this is why Caleb Downs is good. And because it's one thing for me to say, oh, Caleb Downs is really good. Why is he good, Kirk? Tell us, show us. And that's what I like to do, because then you guys will watch and say, wow, do you see Caleb Downs fit that run? That's really good. I thought he just played center field and tried for interceptions and pass breaks. Like, no, he puts his nose on guys in the run and shuts guys down. He's a big eraser out there. But Nevada, your thoughts? Because I think you like the film breakdowns are always fun to do. Your thoughts on that?
I like it best when you use big words like Tampa 2, cover 4, quarters, robber, press, monkey,
quarter half.
Quarter half. Yeah, exactly. I love that stuff. Whenever I hear that stuff, I always laugh. That always just cracks me up. Because there's one guy real prominent, not going to name him, prominent guy, OSU analyst that does that stuff, and he just uses all these big words. And I'll ask you about him, because I won't, because I'll ask. Kirk knows from me. We've been in meetings, and I'll go, I don't even know what that means. I don't even know what you're talking about. And when I see those big words, I'll call Kirk up, and I'll be like, hey, dude, you're the All-American. What does quarter press, monkey, robber, flat, iron, cover 0, bear mean? And you'll be like, it means nothing. Nobody ever talks that way. And I'm like, okay, that's what I thought. But that's my favorite. I like it when you say monkey press.
Well, and the funny thing is, I'll call Zach, because between Zach and I, we've studied and seen about everything there is. And Zach Smith knows coverages, routes as good as anybody. So when I'll hear something crazy, I'll say, hey, is this real or is this made up? Like, when someone says that there's such a thing as zero hole Like cover zero is all out blitz. That is man to man across the board, 6-man pressure, period, end of story. There's no zero hole. But people say that, and I'm just like, you can't have a hole player. A hole player is like a middle of the field player. You can't have that guy because everyone, by definition, in cover zero, every person is man to man, and you're blitzing 6 people. By definition, that's what cover zero is. It's man to man across the board. It's the riskiest coverage in the world. Teams don't. You don't. That's not a traditional standard coverage. That is throwing your curveball of curveballs. Because if you don't get home, your corners are all covering man across the board, and they can get barbecued. You know, so it can be really good if you get a pressure, you get a sack, and it can be really bad if you give up a touchdown. So again, I'm glad I have Zach as a resource, because sometimes I just want to make sure that I'm not crazy. But I've watched so much football and film, especially over the last 3 years, that even when I played and coached and stuff, I watch more now because I study the game all day because I want to know what's really going on and the new trends and that type of thing. And I love it because it makes this show much better. And it's better for you guys when I'm with the trends, and this is what teams do, and this is what Oregon's done since we played, and all the games since then. I've watched all those, so it's good. All right, Madam's Promise up, brother. Thanks for the 5. Oregon Channel says Chip's offense fall apart versus good D lines, and that's why we lose big on Wednesday. What's he smoking, Kirk? First point, 1 point last time. Nevada OH. Well, he obviously didn't watch this against Tennessee because their D line's excellent. So again, I mean, Tennessee whooped up on Bama, and they gave Georgia trouble, and Georgia had a really good game plan. Again, I said going into the game, you can watch our shows because they're all up. I said I would study what Georgia did because Georgia did a really good job. And frankly, I didn't think Georgia's line and scheme was as good as ours. So, you know, and I might be crazy because I know that they're from the SEC and they're from Georgia and whatever, but like we blocked those guys even better, in my opinion. But Nevada, what are they smoking when they say that Chip's offense falls apart versus good D lines? Because this isn't the Cam Newton year versus Auburn in the championship. Like that's a long time ago. He's got way better players than he did on that Oregon team, on this Ohio State team. What are your thoughts?
Well, to me, this is the laziest type of analysis. When it was like when I hear people say, "Well, how did the team do against top 5 defenses? They don't do as well." And I'm like, "Well, yeah, because they're top 5 defenses. See, that's why you didn't do as well." Or, "What's your record against top 5 teams?" Well, not so good because when we beat them, they fall out of the top 5. And they're no longer in the top 5, and so I don't know. I mean, Chip's offense, we watch it, we see what's going on, and when he's in his bag and he's doing his stuff, it's hard to defend. And you've talked about, even if you knew what was coming, and you had this, and you had to design, you could lay out the perfect defense, you wouldn't be sure how to defend some of the stuff that he comes up with. So yeah, I mean, we may win in the Rose Bowl, we may lose in the Rose Bowl, but it's not going to be because Chip Kelly doesn't know how to design against good defensive lines. And frankly, Oregon's defensive line is not as good as Tennessee's. Oregon's defense is not as good as Tennessee's. I don't think Oregon's defense is very good at all. And maybe that's a hot take. You do it, but they played 3 playoff teams this year: Ohio State, Boise State, Penn State. All 3 of those teams torched them. So I have every expectation that Ohio State's going to score a lot of points against this Oregon defense because I don't think it's that great.
And they blow a ton of coverages. Like that's what shocked me against Penn State is they got guys just running free. And I'm like, God, I hope they play that against us. I hope they do that against us because I mean they made Drew Aller look like Tom Brady, and I was like, that's hard to do, especially in a big game. You know, I mean he can shred all the bad teams. He play them good teams. He turtle shells, but it was impressive what they did in terms of just letting guys run loose. Again, go watch the highlights. Go watch how many times Penn State's receivers are just running just scot-free in the end zone. And I was like, whew, please do that. Sean, thanks for the 5. What's your go-to adult beverage / food combo on game day aside from B-dubs and Twin Peaks? Whew. Nevada, do you have a combo on game day? I'm just curious because I don't know if you do.
I mean, honestly, and I know this is going to sound stupid, but I'm going to say it anyway because it's the truth. We try to be honest on the show. I have trouble eating before game. I get so worked up before these games that I really have trouble building up an appetite. And so and then after the game, when we win, I'm completely ravenous, and I'll eat anything. And if we lose, then my hunger strike continues on for the next few days until I get the bad taste out of my mouth. So I'm the wrong person to ask on this because um, I really get worked up with gum. I get fired up, and it's hard to eat. I'm not hungry before the games.
Well, I mean, you guys know I love Peaks. I love drinking McUltra. If you guys watch Landman, like Billy Bob is like when he's drinking them ultras, it's like, yep, that's your boy right here. But my kids love Five Guys. Oh my God, Five Guys! If you're listening, like holler at your boy because like B-Dubs and Jersey Mike's, they love Jersey Mike's. So it's basically what my kids like to eat. I could always, I'm not going to be sad if I have to eat 56 from Jersey Mike's, a big Kahuna cheesesteak, or the patty melts at Five Guys are fire. But you guys know I'm B-Dubs in Twin Peaks till I die. I mean, Twin Peaks they have asparagus. Like I love asparagus. So I eat tons of asparagus. I drink draft beer and it's delicious. So, and in B-Dubs, I love their desert. I call them the desert heat wings or desert storm. I call it, but those are fire. So again, I'm on brand. Like I don't have sponsors and not go to their spots. I love their spots. But the hard part, and I know you guys will all reminisce about the Notre Dame game from last year, but like since that, I have really lacked the beverages on game day because that was one of the best days ever because my cousins were all in town from Massillon. They all at my house for a party. I had my girl Mariah from Yogi's was our bartender, and it was just awesome. And now the problem is it was a night game. My cousins got down here about 10 and we swam all day, and your boy had a few too many cocktails, and it was great. And again, it's a lot harder to not drink when we're coming down to the wire and we might lose. And I'm sure some of you guys were probably partaking as well because you guys are having anxiety attacks. But when we won, it was great. And then it was like, hey, let's go podcast. And I was like, my wife's like, that might not be a good idea. And sure as can be, like always, Kim was right. So your boy, that thing is in the archives forever, but it was a funny day. So since then, we got business to handle. So, I try to stay on the straight and narrow. Now, sometimes you guys catch me after a happy hour. Well, that's part of me working 7 days a week. So you guys got to deal with me sometimes. But they go, I love you. And
your big mistake was that when I dared you, I said, you have to drink a half bottle of vodka every time Marcus Freeman puts 10 players on the field. And you're like, okay, Nevada, I'll do that. And then it's like, okay, there you go.
And
second to last play.
Kirk, you're like, Kirk, hurry up and put the podcast on. Hurry up, get on the mic, get the ring light turned on. And it's like, okay, I'm coming. We got a podcast. Everyone's waiting on you, Kirk. And I come up there and, oh my God, that was the shortest one we've ever done. But I'm not gonna lie, I had a blast that day. And again, it was great I love seeing my family. I don't see them very often. They were down here, and it was a great day. So again, I apologize because I was a little inebriated, but hey, we won. Again, it was, sorry for partying. But like I said, you guys get me when you get me sometimes. DJ Double B, thanks for the 5. How good are Oregon's tackles? Their offensive tackles, they're good. Again, their right tackle is the guy that we went after. He's a JUCO guy. But I like Jack and JT, man. They're playing at a high level. And our tackles are going to have, Mateo's a good player. I mean, on the flip, and but it'll be a battle of the edge rushers. And again, I think you can scheme to help, which I think that Chip did a magnificent job of versus Tennessee, because Tennessee had 2 ends, and I think that their 2 ends were better combined than Oregon's 2 ends, even with Birch back. Tennessee's ends were really good, and we nullified them because our scheme was excellent. So I think we'll do the same thing this week and move the pocket, play action protect, 7-man protect Chip, keep a tight end in, or let a tight end kind of leak out and slide to Mateo, who I think is better than Birch. And you can fix it. Again, it's real easy to do and have a plan. And again, Will Howard being shifty is huge, and get rid of the ball quick. Get rid of the ball. Don't hold it forever. And then the pass rush is completely negated. Nevada, anything to add on Oregon's tackles?
They're good. I mean, I thought they played, a really good game. I mean, they kept Gabriel clean pretty much the first time around, and they're going to be a formidable challenge for the defense. But like you said, I think we got some stuff in store for them.
Ben G, thanks for being ultra thanks to the 5. Fellas, happy New Year. Any plans to get TJ Downing on SWO or back on the board? Always enjoyed hearing stories and O-line analysis from the OG. Hashtag old granddad. That is a throwback because, oh my God, TJ and I used to drink Old Granddad because it was the liquor that Billy Bob Thornton drank in Bad Santa. So it is repulsive, but that's what he drinks. Like in the first Bad Santa, he's at the bar and the hot little bartender chick's like, "Hey, you need another?" She smells it. It's like Granddad, and I didn't know what it was. And I looked it up and I was like, "This is actually real stuff, Old Granddad." And it is not something that I'm drinking at this point in my life. But when I was young, and TJ and I were running the town, we drink about anything. So, yeah, I'll reach out to TJ. Again, TJ is always hilarious on here, and he's busy. He's got a Stark Media Network thing. So, yeah, I'll see if he wants to come on and do some analysis because he did a good job. Like I said, TJ's got his own little media empire that he's trying to build, and we'll try to get him on there. Nevada, any of your favorite TJ Downing stories?
No, just when you guys get together and reminisce about the good old days, man. It's super awesome. Not just awesome, it's super awesome.
Oh, we've got some stories now. No, most of them most of them we'd have to go at about 2 in the morning, like the old MTV shows that they'd go on at 2 in the morning and it'd be TV mature. That's what it would be with TJ. But yeah, it was good. Like again, I always like to see his perspective from an offensive line thing, but yeah, he was good. Big Red Buck, thanks for the 50. Appreciate you, brother. I hope you're doing great. Could it be that the Buckeyes ass whipping of Tennessee was the game that set their program back another 5 years? I mean, these guys are in super mode. Now they're talking about baseball. So glad many of them saw it in person on Saturday. I mean, could be. I mean, again, Tennessee, like they had high hopes and they were playing Rocky Top on all the touch tunes bars all through here. And it was pretty wild. And they went back with their tail between their legs. So I don't know. It's going to be real interesting to see what does the program. I know they've had a ton of guys at the portal, and it'll be interesting to see like after this round of the playoffs if teams get smashed, if it offsets a huge number of people to the portal. So I don't know, but I was happy to see them get smashed. Made me happy. Nevada, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's funny. I think a game like that really does kind of take your program. Either you level up. And that would have been a big one for Heupel, or in this case, I think a lot of the fan base has lost faith in him. And yeah, I think that I really felt like that program was at a crossroads. They were kind of on the precipice. So, in a lot of ways, I felt like Ohio State was kind of at a crossroads. I mean, if you lose that game after losing the game before that, I don't even want to think about what it would have been like. But I told you before the game, we're not going to talk about that because that ain't happening. And here we are. So go Bucks.
All right, Nevada, here's a softball for you. Joby, appreciate you, brother. Thanks for the deuce. He says, are sharp bettors on Oregon or Ohio State?
Ohio State. What you've got is a majority of the bets are on Oregon, yet the line hasn't moved down. Lines opened at 1. It's moved up to 2.5, and it's pretty much stayed there. Going from 2.5 to 3. That's a key number. Really hard to move, beyond that, but it hasn't moved down. So the sharp bettors that I know are playing Ohio State because Ohio State is generally regarded as the best team in the country, and if they play their game, they're going to win. The only way that they lose is if they don't play their game. It's going to take a series of weird events, bad calls, bad luck, small sample variance for them to lose this game. The first game, one of the things that was in favor for Oregon was home field advantage. They don't have that this time around. So I think it's an even a bigger edge for Ohio State on top of the revenge factor, the difficulty of beating a team the second time around. Most of the sharps that I know are on Ohio State, and I think that's a sharp play for sure.
You're not going to drop your favorite line, the pros versus Joes.
I was going to do it, but now I'm not going to do it. I refuse to do it now that I've been taunted by the big cuddly bear. I'm not going to say pros versus Joes. I'm not going to do it.
You had it in the holster, and then you just put it back in.
I put it right back in. I'm putting it right back in.
You had the gun aimed right at the camera. And you're like, I'm about to say pros versus Joes. You had it cocked and ready to go, and then you just put it right back in the holster.
I'm going to pour more water on the rocks here in the sauna and just ignore that you even said that there, man. Sauna buck. Yeah, just turn it.
My phone's melting. I can't podcast no more.
I feel so light.
It's because you're delirious. You're having such a good time in Finland
It's so
with
great.
your 2 hours of sun.
Oh man.
All right, Timu, you ready to wrap this thing up?
I am ready. My final show of 2024. I just want to say a big thank you to all you guys out there, guys and gals. You guys made it just totally enjoyable, and to my big cuddly partner.
Oh my
Always
God.
fun being with you here. So we're not going to be here. I know I am not going to be here tomorrow night, but the big cuddly bear will be here tomorrow night.
Kirk is plastered to his chair, so he can't possibly go anywhere. Kirk does not get to travel. Kirk is locked in his basement. They crowbarred me in here, so Nevada's like, you must podcast and earn your sing for your supper. It's
Yes,
like
indeed.
I got a little sliding door that opens up, and Kim slides in like a 6-pack of beer and a steak, and then she slides it shut, and then I sit here and podcast again. I was like, this ain't bad. You know, it's like
Hey.
I'm like Leo, I'm like Howard Hughes of the Aviator. I'm sitting here, I got a little bowl of whatever. So it's wild, but hey, we're here, and we will be back on New Year's Eve, man. I mean, we'll be rolling 7-10 like always, while Nevada's flying through the skies.
Yes, we'll be rolling, and the next time you hear my voice will be post game after Ohio State beats Oregon in the Rose Bowl. And so until then, happy 2024.
And also, let's go Team USA.
Team USA.
Nevada's gonna watch Miracle 7 times on his flight to Finland and on a loop.
I've been practicing. I have my little like those white like ski hats, like the hats that you wear, but you got to put them on right, because if you put them on wrong, your hair kind of comes down and stuff like that. So I've been practicing putting my Team USA winter hat for Finland. So I'm very excited about that as well. But I've been practicing about 30 minutes in the mirror, putting it on.
I think they call that a toque. Is it a toque? Yeah. When you see them Canadians with their little flows going, their little hair and stuff, you call that a toque.
Yeah, toque. My Team USA toque.
So don't get stoned to death in Finland because you call it a hat and it's a toque. They won't know what you're looking at when they come out of their igloos, and they're like, "What is this guy talking about a hat?" When he's got a toque on his head.
I'm gonna be driving in Finland too, so that's gonna be another adventure as well. So there are just so many things that could go wrong here the next 14 days. So.
We got one last super chat, Nevada, before you fly off to Finland. B Man, thanks for the 5. Nevada, tips on watching the Rose Bowl. I'm in Helsinki now, visiting his mother-in-law, striking out on the Lions game. He says, Pahuko to Suomea Lola Loily OH, Nevada.
I know OH. Tips on watching the Rose Bowl. You mean
in Helsinki?
In Helsinki.
He's in Helsinki visiting his mother-in-law now.
This is crazy. This is craziness. I mean, I know where I'm going to be watching. I'm going to be watching the Rose Bowl from my sauna in my Airbnb on my laptop with Wi-Fi.
With the VPN fired up, ready to go.
With the VPN ready to go, with my geolocators for my betting and stuff like that. All
crack streams all fired up, ready to go.
God!
Even though it doesn't affect Uncle Dana, even though we're watching the Rose Bowl, I'm still not going to give money to Uncle Dana.
I'm not giving any
money.
I'm not giving anybody to anybody. But yeah, no, I'm just going to be watching it on. I'm assuming I'm just going to go on on ESPN.com and just watch it. I mean, it's an ABC game, right? I mean, Rose Bowl, ABC. Yeah, so it should be right there on ESPN.com. Just hit the button. Bing.
There you go.
Bada bing. Bada bing, bada boom.
That is so fire. All right, let's wrap this thing up, Helsinki Buck. Any final words, and we will get out of here.
No, go Bucks. We'll look for my How I See It at BuckeyeScoop.com. Posting tonight, a little bit early, but it'll be worth the read.
We cannot wait. All right, with that being said, we appreciate you guys taking with us. I hope you guys had a great time on the show. Again, we appreciate you guys. As always, if you guys enjoy our content, please leave us a like, click subscribe, also click that little alert bell. Again, I appreciate you guys and all that you guys do on this show. If you guys want to help us out and ring in the new year the right way, give us a follow on Apple Podcasts and also Spotify. Click on it. It's right on your iPhone, right on your iPad. Click subscribe. It's a huge way to help us. We appreciate all you guys that are doing it. So again, I hope you guys have a great new year. If I don't see you guys tomorrow, I will be on here tomorrow. Don't worry. I'll be holding it down. We'll be breaking some film down, taking your questions. But again, I appreciate all you guys have done for us this year. What an incredible year for the Scoop family. Love you guys to death. Again, I hope you guys have a great time with your family, your friends, and or just with us, because we'll be kicking it again tomorrow night too. So I hope you guys have a great rest of your night. Thank you so much, Buckeye Nation, and thank you, Scoop family. We will talk to you guys tomorrow night. Happy New Year. The game is going to be here soon, so get ready for it. Go Bucks.